Call the meeting to order. Councilman Taylor, would you give the invocation?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together and serve our Cherokee citizens. We pray that you will be with us in this meeting and guide us in the direction that would be best for the people we serve. We pray that you will keep your hand of protection on our servicemen and women, both here and abroad, as they stand in the gap for our safety. Give us traveling mercies as we go home tonight and bring us back together. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Shelley, roll call.
Shambaugh,
Here.
Harley Buzzard,
Here.
Keith Austin,
Here.
Joe Bird,
Ani.
Leah Kravitz, Sean Crittenden,
Here.
Joe Beer, Mike Dobbins,
Here.
Tina Duncan,
Ani.
Chris Jordan,
Here.
Darrell Lay,
Here.
Wes Snowfire,
Ani.
Laura Petskowski,
Here.
Barry Baker Shaw,
Connie.
Leo Smith,
Here.
Denise Taylor,
Here.
Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
Okay. If everybody's looked over the minutes, could I have approval?
Make a motion they be approved.
Second.
Got a
Post me.
roll call or all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, reports. Human Service Department. Is Marsha Lamb here?
Here she is.
Thank you.
Miss Cherokee.
Good afternoon, Council. I just have a few things. I wanted to report that, I want to remind you that we are taking LIHEAP applications now. We will be for the month of October and November. So be sure, and our priority is always elders and disabled. And then in December, if funding allows, we will open it up to everybody. And but LIHEAP is primarily for the elders. And then about March, we'll open up our crisis program. So that's kind of how LIHEAP works. On our school clothing voucher, to date, we have taken 4,717 applications for our clothing voucher. And that's quite a bit, and it grows every year because kids become school age. And I know there was a question raised last month about the 16-year-olds. I believe you asked that. Yeah, and I haven't got your answer yet, but I will. I believe that was on the Angel Tree.
Actually, it was, 16, 17. If they're in the program, I personally think that they should be
Yeah.
eligible for it.
Okay, and then we have also our Elder Angel Tree program. Don't forget our elders. And last year we did almost 400 apps. It was 392, and this program grows every year. And so the key to that is to, on any angel tree, elder tree, is to get the applications in as soon as you can, so we'll know who and how much we're buying for. And
What's the age group on the angel tree?
for the what?
Angel tree, what's the age?
Elder, or
Yeah.
I believe it's 60, Joe.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Any questions for Marsha? Sean?
Yeah. Marcia, on that, where do the Elder Angel Tree apps located at?
Down here.
Just in
Yeah.
your office?
Yeah.
Not at the little
If
branch
you
office?
walk down the hall, you'll see, you take a elder name off of our
Oh,
maple
okay.
leaf tree.
Oh, so
Yeah.
to go buy some stuff.
Yeah, yes.
Now to get enrolled, is it too late already
No, there's plenty down
to
there.
apply?
Let me get you 7 or 8.
Well, let's see. Yeah.
Yeah. You go down and there's it's a name, just like the angel tree. And you take the name off and then you return the gift.
Right. If there was one that's not hanging up there yet, is, can they get on it? Or is it?
Yeah, just give me the contact number.
Thank you.
EO, did you have something?
Go over that light heap again, please. What was you saying?
What was the date?
Light heap, explain that again. It's open
We're
now,
gonna take
right?
applications all the month of October, all the month of November. And then we can't process anything until we get our money, and that'll be around November sometime. But we learned 2 or 3 years ago that we can go ahead and take the applications based on our funding, and if it doesn't come through, then then we'll have to not have the program. But I don't see it happening. We usually have a pretty good feel for it before we do that we will be refunded. So what I'm saying is before we get our money, we've already started taking the application process. We don't wait till we get our money.
Was last year a record year?
Sorry,
Was last year a record high?
how many did we have last year
Was it the highest?
under LIHEAP? 4,717.
Is that the most ever?
Yeah.
Well, what if we have emergencies during that period, and you're waiting on your funding? You can come back to us, is that
We have
what-
other programs. Yes, we will know. We're talking to our funding agencies all the time, and they haven't indicated that this will be an issue. Of course, the first people we will contact will be the council, and then our, NCAI and stuff like that, so, and other people on up the chain to make sure that they know that this is an issue now, as soon as we know.
Councilwoman Bass, please.
Yes, is the elder angel tree available at the Bonita Clinic too, or is it just here for the elder?
It's here, but we can,
So it's
I'll
the
look and see.
children that's at all the clinics? isn't it?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It started out as something that we started out in the nutrition sites, and it's just grown and grown.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Deere?
I just want to say thanks for the last month and helping on a couple situations.
Sure.
On another thing, Mr. Legg had brought up concrete, basically placards for graves and stuff. I was just going to bring it up that I found a guy in Tulsa, because we had mentioned around $200. He said it'd be a lot less than that, more like the 125 range. So I just thought I'd let everybody know that that's come up, and I don't know where we take it from there. I just went and found the guy that does it, and he does it with the power water basically that sprays onto the concrete, so he can scan old documents. So if we need to do somebody in 1800s, early 1900s, he can scan the document and still put it in place. And you just 2x4 with concrete in your one bag and you're good. So,
Wow.
but we would be responsible for the concrete. He would get I think they're an inch thick, and some of them are granite at that price. So,
It's a good price.
yeah,
It wouldn't be nothing to take out of the current budget, it would be something that we would have to
right.
decide if that's something we want to fund.
I don't know what you have in mind, but are you thinking about the families doing this, or are you thinking about
Us paying for it.
us
Because
paying for
sometimes
it
you
and then
can
they
do a
pour the
funeral and then
concrete?
there's still
What-
never a headstone.
I think we would need some detail on it. Will this company put what's needed on there?
Yes, they'll put anything you need on there. They can put pictures, they can put, pretty much anything you need. If you can scan it in the computer, they can put it on there.
Okay.
A lot of them are real generic. They're 12 by 12s. So you can really make it 20 by 24 and just put it in the concrete pad. But yeah, for getting the older ones, if you have something, elders that have passed and you don't have anything, you can just send them the text on
I
what
think
you
you
want.
need some clarification still yet. Are you
Yeah.
going to go way back there and try to fill all of these, or are you going to go from day one forward?
That would be the question. I'm just
Yeah, that's a
Proposal
good,
out
that's
there.
something we need to think about.
Well, at some point in time, we can address that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because
but
you're.
that's a good idea, though. And if you would want to forward the information to Marcia, that would be good. And
Yeah.
I might even give it to Gail,
So I was gonna say.
so she could distribute it to all of us.
Right. I can
Well,
do that.
at some point in time, we're all gonna, get that question.
Right. So I just thought that was realistically, that would be, as far as financially, a good fit. So,
A lot cheaper than what we've heard,
Yeah.
so that's a good deal.
I know at my own cemetery, some of them just have rocks.
right. Yeah.
And it's just sad, and I'm not against this at all, I just think we need a little more specifics on it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Well, even in the end, if it's something that a family want to do and a family could afford, we could give that information to that family, and, that would be good. Could be good
Okay.
all the way around.
Good idea,
Any other
too.
questions?
Comment.
Yes, sir.
Last week at the photo ID event, I had ran across town to a different meeting for an hour there in the middle of it, and while I'm gone, my phone rings, and it's, "Will you be back? There's a lady here who wants to personally thank you for something." Well, I said, "Please ask him to be patient. I'll get back real soon." I got back. I didn't know who it was, but there was a constituent who had a housing crisis the previous month, and health crisis and housing crisis at the same time in their life. And 4:30 on a Friday evening, you get these phone calls, and they call me in a panic. I call your folks, and she was wanting to personally thank me for helping her through that situation. Of course, it wasn't me that did much of anything except connect her to the services. It's your team that did it. Your team taking care of people at 4:30 on Friday afternoon is wonderful, and they all deserve praise for that. It really makes a difference in people's lives. That's the time when you get those comments from people about, "I never really understood how much the Cherokee Nation cares about me." And that's the kind of comment I got that day.
That, we don't always hear that, and I will pass that along. Of course, we have staff that watch this, so I'm sure they're all smiling real big right now. But we would not have gotten that, we wouldn't have known about them unless you have called, and that's where all of you come from. And it may not be the same outcome if you wait till 4:55, it may not be the same outcome, but we'll always check on it.
Well, each and every one of us around the table, our most important job is the advocacy for our people. And we can only do that with the assistance of our
I appreciate that
people
very much.
like your team.
Thank you for the comment. Marcia, have we ever looked into making some of this, like boxes for services? I'm talking about.
I'm sorry, Joe. Have we ever what?
There's a tribe out western Oklahoma that actually makes boxes when we do services, funerals, headstones, all of that. Have we ever looked into that? Because there's a group out in North Carolina that makes these boxes for less than $1,000, and we're always getting requests. A lot of times people are outside our jurisdiction, and they're tribal members, and they need help as well. If we made our own,
Caskets?
yes. I didn't want to call it casket, that's what they are. But
Actually-
if we made our own, then we could have like our Woodmark warehouse over there. That's a huge warehouse, and we're probably using 20% of that warehouse.
Or we can get some pine trees.
We have abundance of pine trees there that we've been looking at for 20 years, and we can't see it. But it's just the thought to throw out there and say, how come we don't do some of this on our own?
Actually, that old man that used to be over at Jerry Snell, he looked, I can say that because he's gone. He actually looked into this. I bet it was 15 years ago. And he found a place that would actually put the seal on it and someone's name. And it was around $100. Now, it never did get past that for whatever reason.
Well, what
But
reason was that? The council
sorry?
the council didn't approve it, the chief didn't want it? What was the reason?
Oh, Joe, I don't remember. That was, I wasn't in a position to really know. I just know he talked to me about it. And I don't know why it didn't happen, but it, 15 years ago, $100 was, was a little more money back then, but I knew that it could be done
What's the average cost now?
for a headstone.
Or what, the casket, what we pay for our regular burial policy, what's a,
It's $3,600 what we pay in our contract.
okay?
But we know that's a markup. I mean, that's why the people are in the business. I don't know what the markup is. I've heard that the same casket costs
8,000.
the companies $400.
Most of the people that make caskets don't qualify for donated foods.
That's true.
Well, we have a building trades class.
Yes.
We have another grant that was just passed for career tech for construction trades, and if they need the experience, we can teach them how to make this stuff.
It's just something to look into.
Yeah.
We are a pretty self-sufficient tribe. That's an area that we haven't really accommodated.
Well, I just got a text from one of the staff said that they actually found someone in Muskogee. So I know that did about the same thing. So I think there's more than one place. And if you...
Well, they do look good if you've ever seen them. I mean, they're not as good as a casket can look, but
Yeah.
they do look good. The pine box looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever you want to call them. I mean,
Yeah,
It's not a pine
cedar,
box.
cedar. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cedar.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Is anybody else? Marcia, thank you. Next, Community Services, Roads and Transportation, Michael Lynn.
Good afternoon. You guys have a copy of our reports in your packet, but just a few things I'd like to mention. Over in the OEH&E, Office of Environmental Health and Engineering side, that office is kind of keeping an eye on some proposed DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality changes that are being talked about right now. Nothing's set in stone at this point, but they're looking at possibly doing away with the perk test and going to something called a soil profile. Billy's office is already doing some soil profiles in areas where he has to, but if they changed the requirement to soil profiles all the way across the board. They're concerned with increased cost and time, and as far as the soil profile goes, it's a little more destructive to the property as far as digging the holes required to do the profile. So it's something that they're keeping an eye on right now. DEQ has contacted them to share their concerns and comments with them, which Billy and them have done. So it's something that they're just watching right now. Any changes will be coming down the pipe in 2020 sometime, but just something that they're looking at. Also on November 2nd, there'll be a rabies vaccination event here in the city of Tahlequah. This is being done in cooperation with an organization called Talapaz, P-A-W-S. So that's something that they're going to be involved with there. On the transportation side, Ross Street ribbon cutting is going to be tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They're on the east side of the project, east end of the project. And then lastly, Mr. Chair, on October 29th, will be a bid opening for the Bell School bridges over in Adair County. Right now, it's advertised for bid. They'll be opening bids on that on the 29th. We had a pre-bid meeting here last week and had a really good turnout as far as potential bidders. So we're looking for quite a few bids to come in on that project. So with that, Mr. Chair, that's all I have. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Questions? Councilman Duncan?
On those soil profiles, I know we got some staff that are certified or whatever has to be done to do perk tests. Billy, will they have to get additional certification or?
I've got staff that are already certified to do the profiles.
Okay, good.
Anyone else? Councilman Deere?
Are they going to go the same standard as the CRM soil profile ratio?
What is the?
What's the ratio when they're going to do the soil profile? How deep are they doing? Are
48
they
inches.
48 inches?
And the interval under 6 inches all the way down to 48.
So they're just going to like the E horizon and then they're calling it good?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
They basically want to do 18 inches below the bottom of the drain field.
Okay. Makes sense.
That's all, thank you. Councilwoman Taylor.
What's the extent of Cherokee Nation's involvement in the Talapause event?
Billy, you might want to address that. I think they're paying for the rabies vaccination, and I'm not sure what else is going to be involved with it.
That's the limit of our involvement, is to help with the rabies vaccinations.
Okay, well, I get calls on occasion about spay and neuter clinics and this, that, and the other, and so I'm just kind of concerned, I mean, not concerned, I'm curious how this all comes together. Is this just kind of a partnership?
Yeah, it's a partnership. Rabies prevention is one of the activities that's allowable under the compact with IHS.
Okay.
So we can enter into an agreement,
Safety.
yes, as a public health issue to
Very
help
good.
with
Okay.
the rabies vaccinations.
Excellent, okay, thank you, that's all I have, Mike.
Anyone else?
Comment? Great day at Weber Falls the other day. People still talking about it. Appreciate that.
You bet.
Cherokee Nation stepped up and saved the town, actually. Thank y'all.
All right, let's go to public comments about road issues. Have we done that yet?
No, we have not, but
All right, well,
it's
let's
on the
do that.
agenda. If there are any comments, now would be the time to make it known.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Have you heard anything about Piney Bridge? I mean, they haven't contacted you for anything?
They have not. No, I do. I know that it was under design
Right.
with a consultant engineer from that's working for the county. But as far as time frame, funding, last word I had with them on the funding was they were looking for at FEMA for some funding from the disaster. But no, they've not. I've not had any involvement with them.
Well, I've had numerous people ask me about it, and I haven't been contacted either, so I just wondered if you had, so, okay.
I need.
All right.
Hey, Michael Lynn, I know I'm gonna be asked this question one of these days. As you're going to Bull Hollow, Rocky Ford, go through 412, a few miles, and you take a right. There's not a sign there to go through Bull Hollow. It's a dirt road for about 5 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason we have not paved that?
Councilor Shambaugh has set aside some funding with the
Yeah,
county.
he's got the bottom part there, but going in, or where is that in the
Well-
plans as well?
Well, I can probably answer a little bit of that. Going in from the bottom where it's paved, they're in the process of putting rock on it. They are going to pave it from the pavement to Bull Hall shop, from the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, but not
We'll
on.
all be asked this one of these days.
Not-
And they'll
not-
say, well, it was under your watch, how come you didn't do it? I mean, it's under everybody's watch here.
Well, I'll just say that it's been paid for a couple of years, so
Okay,
we've been
well,
waiting.
thank you, appreciate
But they're
that.
supposed to have it done this year.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Because it benefits us all. That's
Sure.
that Bull Hollow.
You bet. You bet.
It should be done.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah.
And
Yes, sir.
Councilman
I can
Buzzer?
tell you, why that, because some of the people on the council didn't want it on our schedule because we had buffalo out there. And they're afraid people were gonna shoot the buffalo, and I thought that's ridiculous. That's why it wasn't done.
Okay. Buzzer, you didn't say that. Oh, I was kidding.
Any more questions or comments? All right, thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Housing Services is Gary Cooper.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know you've had a long day. I know that there's several people behind me, so I'll try to be quick. Apologize for not being here last month, but I know that all of y'all have my telephone number. Very seldom do I have to miss. But I think we make up for it. No, everyone knows how to get in contact me, and I think that I've been able to take care of all the stuff that all of y'all have had come up, and just working on the new year and getting things done and getting emergencies addressed. And I think most of them we've been able to get addressed through our emergency funds instead of having to request some of yours. We had 120 college housing applications. I think we have one or two still. We're waiting for a few little things on, but we'll assist 120 students this year with college housing. And we are working on housing rehab, on the new housing rehab, on getting those applications processed and pulled. We have done our pull for the ICDBG grant, so there's 35, I think, on that one that we're going to do. Those were all elderlies. So we're just moving ahead, trucking along, trying to get some, all of this stuff done and rolling along. So anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Gary? Sean?
You know that senior assisted living there in Stillwell,
Are you talking about the
CD?
That's not assisted living. It's not assisted living. It is a senior housing project. It's a low-income housing tax credit
My
program.
question is, how much stroke
None.
does Cherokee Nation
None.
have? Because they were pointing out some mold issues and stuff, and that's another one of them deals
Now,
that,
if you'll get with me afterwards, I can get that information from you and see. But I mean, as far as we have no control over the
right,
fiscal
that's
property.
another one with that big old seal on there.
But if you get with me afterwards, I can usually,
So we can,
if I know some issues, then I can
But we
usually make sure
can.
they get addressed.
oh, but we can help, or you just know the people that you can let them know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Are you going to be around a little bit after the meeting?
Yes,
Are you leaving?
yes, no,
Okay.
I'll
All right,
stick
good
around.
talk to you. All right, thank you. Good report. All right, I saw Anna Knight with Commerce Housing.
I did want to point out, I don't think I had mentioned, you see Shay here at Executive Finance, and I've talked with Counselor Taylor about it. Shay comes to Executive Finance for me because I'm on the last stretch of finishing a PhD in Fayetteville.
Congratulations.
In public policy, so I'm not sure if it's the smartest thing or the dumbest thing I've ever done, but that's still yet to be decided. But I do apologize for my absence, and Shay does a great job of presenting, and I'm always available if you have any questions. So just email me or call me. But you do have a copy of our report. And I want to point out on page 2, it lists the financial empowerment counselors, and Ashley Fritz has actually moved back to our loan program. So I just wanted you guys to know that if you need anything at all, and this is the program that is working with the Housing Authority residents to try to increase their financial stability. Then Jill Taylor is the manager over that program, and she can always be reached at 453-4213. Actually, it may be our regular number and extension 4213. I also wanted to point out on page 3, we have included under a section called "The More You Know" and some of the scams that are going on. And so it's just for you to have, if any of your constituents have fallen prey to any of those scams or are receiving any of those calls, you can always have them call us and we can explain to them what they need to do. And then there's a little bit of information that you could give them as well. Other than that, oh, I forgot one other thing we did receive. We have a list also on page 3 of all of our VITA volunteer income tax returns, and the numbers, it's kind of staying the same at $2.5 million in tax refunds that people received. But we've gone up to almost 2,000 people that we're helping, and so we're a little bit at capacity with what we can do. So we did receive a $10,000 award from an organization called Prosperity Now to try to help us increase our capacity in trying to recruit volunteers and get other people to help us with the tax preparation. So other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have a question. First, I want to commend you on what we do with the tax services that we have. Now, here's a question for several people. I have our Housing Authority Director there. I have our MAP program person here. I have the Deputy Chief of the Cherokee Nation in the audience. I have the Secretary of Veterans Affairs in here. My question would be if somebody was to come to us and say, do we have any special programs for housing assistance for our veterans? What would be our answer?
We would actually, if they qualify for MAP, they're eligible for that, or
so that's
Gary's
the MAP
program.
area, okay.
Yeah, otherwise we would try to help connect them with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We would send them to the Veterans Center to try to make that connection. They have the VA loans, of course, but we don't have any special program dedicated just towards to veterans.
Okay, so this would be through the VA loan.
Yes,
That's-
yes, sir.
Okay, other than that, do we have anything that we know of, Gary, through the Cherokee Nation that gives special assistance to our veterans?
No, other than the VASH program, for homeless veterans, that would be the only one where we can specifically limit it to a class of citizens.
Okay. Barbara, anything? I'm asked that almost weekly, anything for veterans, so I didn't know that, I didn't know. So we have a little bit of map and a little bit of,
Yeah, and I think in most cases, and Anna may agree with me too, I think in most cases, a lot of times the 184 loan program
yes,
is sometimes a better option
yes,
than the VA loan program.
okay,
Times.
all right. Well, thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any more questions or comments, Councilman Buzzard?
Yeah, I just, back to the MAP program. We do about 180 a year. That's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just looking at your figure, 1795 since 2009. But I did have a question about this, Anna. It says 81 families became homeowners. Was that this year, 2019?
That would have been last year, yes, the last fiscal year,
Last
yes.
fiscal year, okay.
And we and I had talked about at the budget hearing that number was down from what it normally is because of some changes. We had overabundance of requests for MAP funds, so we tightened it up in order to try to help the most needy families, and then frankly we tightened it a little too much, and so right now I'm actually using one of my classes and I'm doing a policy analysis on it, and then we'll be changing the MAP program and loosening it back up a little bit. We just went too tight.
I know we reduced it from 25 to 20.
Right. We reduced it from 25 to, we stared it in at 10, 15, and 20, depending. What really got us was requiring them to go through 6 months of financial education before they could get the money, because the people that come in that have a house picked out and they're ready, they won't wait 6 months.
Wait 6 months.
Mhm. So right now, we're going through a lot of the data, because we collect a lot of data on the MAP participants to try to find out the best way of helping the most needy families, but helping as many families as we possibly can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions or comments?
Good report.
All right, good report. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see her, but Indian Child Welfare, Lou Stretch, I didn't see her in the room. Or I don't see Kevin for Community and Cultural Outreach, so
I don't see Barbara Foreman.
I see Barbara.
Barbara's here.
Oh, is she?
All right, we have Veteran Center. Let's drop on down to the Veteran Center, and Barbara Foreman, come on up. It's been a while. I don't know, who is that with you? And how do you-
This is striking gentleman with me.
Yep, that's what I meant. Sure. You can talk.
Good afternoon. Okay, so you do have our report. Have any questions for us?
Any questions?
Just more of a
Councilman
comment. Had the Cherokee employee veterans lunch a few weeks ago. I really enjoyed that. I think the employees enjoyed it. Seemed like there probably are a lot more veterans that we employ that were there. Are we able to kind of maybe reach out that a little bit more next time we do it?
Well, we send the all-employee email
Yeah.
and send it over to CNB, CNE,
Okay.
and Housing Authority usually.
Okay, I think it's a great thing that you guys are doing.
And also we invite some of the local community veterans to
Yeah.
come in, and you did get to meet some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, great. That was it.
Anyone else? Councilman Buzzard?
Barbara, you know, we did the resolution on the cemetery. When will we know about that grant?
Well, we are on the listing. We'll probably have a year to get all the information together on what we're going to need. So we did make it on the listing.
Good.
Thanks, sir.
Councilwoman Petzkowski.
On September 13th, you had your DAV mobile unit outside. I was just curious, how well was that attended? Did you have an overflow of
I'm trying to think of.
people, or do you remember?
I don't think that I have the numbers for them. I can get those numbers for you, though, because they had the mobile thing outside, and so we didn't, just the veterans that were, wanted to come in. So it was just strictly DAV. They did a huge mail-out, though, is what they told me.
For this event?
Yes.
I remember that day well. It was rainy and dreary, and but they had several that came.
Good.
And I was one of them, as a matter of fact. So,
Could you have someone there once a week?
We do have the DAV and the ODVA to come, and they alternate every Tuesday from 8:30 to 3:30 there at our facility.
Okay. And this mobile unit, is that something you do once a month?
No, that was just extra. They asked us if they could do that, and we said sure. Anytime services can be offered, we work with them on it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anybody else? No comments? Okay. Barbara, it's good to see you again. It's been a while. It's always good to see you, Mr. Secretary.
it's good to be here.
Yes, sir.
It's good to see you today. How did everybody's bison burger set with them?
Very good.
Those were wonderful. By the way, I'd like to make a comment. Harley mentioned something a while ago, and I guess he may have brought it up in another committee meeting. But at Lowe's, if you shop at Lowe's, right up front, they've got reserved parking for veterans. And Harley brought up the idea, how about having some reserved parking for veterans at our clinics or some of the other places where veterans might come in big numbers? I had a question about car tags, which I'm getting an answer to that I'll probably share with you too. Also, over the weekend, I was copied on a CC mail about the museums and people being able to get in the museums free. And it had to do with veterans and families. And Councilman Crittenden was involved in that discussion too. Something else we've been working on is the kiosk for the bricks out by the memorial. I took quadrant 7, I believe they called it.
Yes.
And I've spent several, more than you'd think, trying to get all the lines in the rows and whose name and what branch. And there's a lot of bricks out there when you get to thinking about it. If you've ever went out to look for a brick, you'll know what I mean. It's hard to find them. So, but I hope, and we want to, our desire is for a person to come in and say, I want to go see Dad or Grandpa's brick or my mom's or whatever. And they can walk over to the kiosk, kind of like you can over at the Veterans Cemetery at Fort Gibson. Punch in the last name, and up will come that name with all the first names of the people that have the last name. And it'll tell you what quadrant and what row it is, and you can find it like that. So hopefully, in the weeks to come, we can get that maybe completed. I'm hoping to.
That'd be great.
And there's a few bricks I've found out there that you can't read, really. They're just in such bad shape. And we'll do the best we can, and then when we get to a point where, we'll replace those with new brick. So that's just stuff in the future.
Good.
Barbara?
And I want to make a few announcements if we have time.
Go ahead.
Okay, so on October 17th, we're going to have our Veterans Bingo, Veterans and Widows Bingo. That's going to be sponsored by our own risk management department here at Cherokee Nation. So we always appreciate it when some of the programs step up and try to help us, with the bingos. And of course, we let them call the bingo too. They get to do the fun parts of it. So they have a good time with us also, but we appreciate them. In November, and I'm just telling you way ahead, because we're going to be looking for some talent, and I'm kind of looking at Sean here a little bit, but we're going to be looking for people that can sing.
Barbara?
But we're planning.
There's another one right up there. Mr. Duncan.
Mr. Duncan.
We pointing at Shelley.
No. Well, maybe her too, but you
So
too.
we're going to have a patriotic concert for our November event for Veterans Day. So we'll have our ceremony and the laying of the wreaths as normal, what we do, and then we'll break for breakfast, and then we'll have a patriotic concert. And we're looking within the tribe, though, for this talent.
When's that
So it is on November the 8th at 9 o'clock. So we want to invite all of you to come and listen.
Are you gonna put out a talent search through the tribe? You ought to just do an employee email talent search.
There you
Well,
go.
but the only thing about that, Mr. No Fire, is that some people think they can sing.
See, I'm one of those. I'll show up and I'll try.
You know, some think they can sing, and, you know, it's kind of like that America's Got Talent. But the ones that we know right now of the talent within the tribe,
What time's that Veterans Bingo?
it's at 5 to 7.
Where are we getting our gifts for those on those bingos?
Well,
Just kinda-
like the one risk management,
Yeah.
they will be buying the gifts and everything for that. We have another sponsor for December, well, no, for November, and they'll be buying the gifts for us also and running the bingo, and they're actually going to do the meal. It is the group here that, from CNB, that it's a volunteer group from
Well,
them.
I definitely, I know a lot of us counselors, we get tickets to the Hard Rock that come up. I know there was like Buddy Holly and stuff like that. There's things that I definitely couldn't go to, and I know would be right up maybe one of our veterans alley. I didn't know if that's something that you guys would take on a donation. Here you go, you can go give them to one of the bingo.
Well, it would just depend on how soon that we would know about it. If it, you know, if we could get it beforehand, it depends on how soon you get them. So.
Is there any other questions or comments? Okay.
Tell them about our veteran down at the Cotton Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
The coin flip.
The coin flip.
Okay. I was so excited to hear that Mr. Cochran, one of our Cherokee warriors, World War II, was going to do the coin toss at the OU game, and of course I was sitting there just watching, and I finally saw a shot of him, but they didn't show that, and so I was really disappointed. But we were very proud to hear about it, and I think I put it out on Facebook because I was really excited for him. But he was on TV. I don't know how many news channels that he was on, but we had a wonderful warrior flight with him.
He had his warrior vest on too.
Oh,
Really? And I was sitting there with my camera. I was going to video
Yeah, I
it,
was
and
too.
nothing happened. Darn it.
Right.
But he did get to do it, but they didn't film
Yeah.
it, I guess. Or
Any
something.
other time they show it.
Yeah.
So,
It must have been good medicine because we won.
Yeah, it's good.
Hey, Barb, on that bingo,
yes, sir.
I've kind of failed to help advertise that deal. It's fine to advertise it, right?
Only for veterans and widows.
All veterans, right?
Yes, all veterans and widows. And they are able to bring one person with them.
All veterans.
But we're saying adults.
All
because we-
veterans
because
and
we
widows.
don't
plus
have any childcare.
One adult.
Right,
So,
right.
now, how about
But it's
all
very
veterans?
limited to that, though. We limit it to that.
If you're a veteran,
You can bring one person with
widow,
you.
you bring one.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Two. I got that. All right, well, thank you all for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anybody else? All right, good report.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good seeing you,
Thank you.
both of you. All right, old business, none pending. New business, none pending. Do we have any announcements? No announcements. One announcement. He's back there in the back. He's being really quiet, but Deputy Warner does the Macarena, and so I think he will be. We expect to see you there. All right. I need a motion to adjourn.
I thought that was Andy Quito.
Yeah, second?
Second.
Adjourn.